Who's gonna be our runner-up? Take your coffee and have a seat. I hate this. Many thanks for sitting back. Please come back in. Is there, anyone else outside? Can you close the door? Have a seat, please. I think I can do a song out of it. I'm glad you all sound excited at least. Sit, sit. So first of all, I would like to introduce you to our jury. Wait, after I would like first to introduce you to our jury. If you would like to come on stage, our jury members. So we are all very much expert in the blockchain. I will just ask them to introduce themselves. So they are the one who are going to give marks to the 6 startups that are going to pitch now. And again, as to repeat, the winner is going to win 10,000 euro worth of services from Future Block platform and access to their platform. So first, Alfonso, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning everyone. My name is Alfonso. I am Alfonso Santitoro. I am 24 years old and I work in the blockchain area for the last 4 years. I work with a lot of ICO with a good result of fundraising. One of these, we raised 1 million in 1 day last year. And I help a lot of projects around Italy and Europe. And probably in the last 3 years, I was speaker probably at more of 100 events of sector in the blockchain area and the startup area. I am the director of Startup Grind in Italy. Is a
so for
event.
those Maltese, is Johan Zamit of Italy.
Yeah. And I have a big community of investors. I have 50,000 crypto enthusiasts and investors that follow me on Instagram, and I love crypto. And so
Very good. I think we all do. That's why we're here. Woohoo! Felix?
Hi. So I'm Felix. I'm co-founder of Salamantex. We're an Austrian crypto payment provider, so we develop software and hardware that allows businesses to accept cryptocurrencies without having to deal with the technological complexity, the risks that arise from volatility, and so on. So essentially what we do here is enable the mass adoption of cryptocurrencies. We're based in Austria. We opened an office here in Malta about a year ago, so I entered the community here a year ago. That's about it.
Thank you. So cybersecurity, Jean-Michel.
Yeah, guys, so my name is Jean. I run a company called Kralanx Cybersecurity. So we're an end-to-end provider for cybersecurity services with a specialization and focus in the blockchain space. So essentially we take a topic that's not really sexy and overly complex and demystify it and help exchanges and a couple of tokens with their security issues. That's us
in a nutshell.
Yeah, I guess.
Then we have Pandwe from the US.
Hi, my name's Pandwe. I've just come from Silicon Valley. I also am between Silicon Valley and Miami. My company is called Ecotech Visions. We do distributive smart manufacturing for smart cities. On that, we have a supply chain system. So we are a real estate play. We have 3 facilities now, about 52,000 square feet, are opening up 102 domestically and another 48 international. But in addition to that, on the supply chain, because distributive smart manufacturing, what I studied at MIT is very much about how to take the data from that and be able to show that we're meeting the goals of the SDGs, the UN Sustainable Development.
And one thing before Pandwe, just to do a little bit of advertising and promotion. This afternoon, she's hosting an event here from 3 to 5. So if you're not fed up to be at the Chiliz Blockchain Campus, you're welcome to come this afternoon and listen to Pandwe. So this time won't be breakfast, it will be cocktails. Snapchat cocktails.
More interesting. So I'm
you
Daniel.
love her already.
More interesting cocktails, definitely. So my name is Daniel. I'm a banker by profession. I was an HSBC employee up to April last year. Now I occupy the post of a head of risk and compliance at KSI Malta. What started off as 40 years ago as a traditional audit firm, today we cater for all financial services needs, including VFA agents. We have the license to operate as VFA agents. And we'll be at the summit for the coming 2 days. I think my role, coming from a risk and compliance background with an interest, not as much as you probably, in the crypto space, is to help educate people out there, the general public, that blockchain is not cryptocurrencies, because a lot of people still associate blockchain to Bitcoin to money laundering. And I think that is where we should all start and educate people out there, because we have more people out there who are fascinated about the technology. I think it's a win-win situation. Thank you.
Thank you, both, all of you. You can have a seat. So, I mean, the way it's going to work, so we have 6 startups today, so they all have 10 minutes to pitch, then 5-minute Q&A. Then after, we're going to ask the jury to give a mark from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest mark and 1 if you really don't like the project, but I hope you won't be that mean with anyone. And then after, we'll announce the winner. So the first one in line is Stefan Arnold from Fracture Labs. So Mariana, can you put the counter? He's going to have 10 minutes, and we are going to be very stringent because it's a competition and the price is quite good. So just
good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with a video trailer of the project. We're developing a video game.
Video or presentation first?
Yeah, the video. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So you have it?
Are you streaming it online, or did you download it? Okay. It's not in HD, eh? So this is what it would look like if it was in the 90s.
Decimated is a multiplayer online survival game where millions of players compete with each other to earn cryptocurrency in a massive, persistent online world. Players can also buy, sell, collect, and trade digitally scarce virtual items. You can choose to be a human citizen or a cyborg cop and must survive in a hostile world filled with pirates and bounty hunters, all competing for resources and territory. The game is being built in Unreal Engine 4 by Fracture Labs in partnership with Halo Platform for the blockchain tech, Spatial OS for server tech, Authentic for KYC, plus exchanges from March 2019. Fracture Labs are a team of veteran game developers, and Decimated is scheduled for pre-alpha release in 2020. Sign up for the pre-alpha on decimated.net and get a head start on the competition.
There we go. Over to the presentation. I've got 8 minutes left. Okay, cool. Let's just see if this works. All right, cool. So yeah, as you saw, we're developing Decimated, which is a multiplayer online survival RPG in a post-apocalyptic world. You've seen the trailer. Our vision is to create a 64 square kilometer map with a persistent online world using spatial OS technology, which allows up to 1,000 players per server. You can choose to play one faction or the other, human citizens and cyborg cops. So we're focusing on the IP, like the fact that we're using blockchain is just a kind of additional value to the game. We want to make a free-to-play game with in-game microtransactions where people can buy the tokens, they can buy virtual items and trade them, and we're also going to sell merchandise and things like that as well. We'll have mission-based rewards, which will have certain levels of risk and reward, so low risk, low rewards kind of missions, and then high risk, high reward missions. Where you could potentially get killed and lose your stuff. You can also build, buy property, customize and personalize your experience. We want to focus on making the game not play to win. It'll be a game that you can customize your character, customize your vehicle, but you won't have any strategic advantage over other players. It'll still be skill-based. For gamers, you can see some of the bullet points of the gameplay features that we're working on in the game. It's essentially a third-person survival game with PvP and PvE type of gameplay. So that's players killing each other and players that are salvaging technology from the environment. Augmentations, things that you can pay for. Realistic bullet physics, kind of similar to Arma, Altus Life, if anybody plays those games. Here's some screenshots and concept art from the game that we're working on. We've got artists from Ubisoft, Cloud Imperium Games, id Software, and other studios that have worked on AAA games. And here's some in-game screenshots from Unreal Engine. Here's one of the virtual items that you can buy, such as the ships. You can also buy these kind of like chainsaws, and it's going to be kind of like a dystopian sci-fi game, really epic and awesome. So the development team are basically coming from a lot of AAA game studios, environment artists from Crytek, environment artists from BioWare, concept artists from Ubisoft, etc. We also have partners for art and animation, such as 5518 Studios, who have worked with a lot of AAA studios, Metric Minds for motion capture, Halo Platform for blockchain technology, and Frame Machine for cinematics and storytelling. My background in the games industry, I've worked in the industry since about 2008, in the blockchain industry for about 2 years, because we decided to integrate blockchain into a game. So we have a lot of game experience. I've worked on cinematics production with God of War, Injustice 2, Evolve, Star Citizen, Batman Arkham Origins, and my involvement in these projects has been organizing art, animation, cinematics, everything from, usually the studio have their script, and then we will convert it into storyboards, then we'll do previs, then we'll do motion capture, import it into the engine, and then lighting and VFX and final polish. So the company Fracture Labs is registered here in Malta, but also in Estonia, because it's cheaper to get the license in Estonia. The game development experience that the team have is full production, like everything from pre-production with the idea and game design document, right up to final polish, working in Unreal Engine. We also have experience working in Unity as well, but Decimated is going to be quite an intense game, so we're going to do that in Unreal Engine 4. We have a token listed on several exchanges. We've just delisted from La Token, and I won't get into that, but I'd advise staying away from those guys. But we're still listed on ZBX and ABCC. We've got about 55 million circulating supply, and we've got between, at the moment I think we've got about 6K daily trading volume, but it just depends on what we do, the amount of marketing that we put out and how much hype there is. But the token is everywhere. It's compatible with all these different wallets. You can track it. And essentially what we want to have is Decimated at the center of our ecosystem, a secondary market for virtual items on OpenSea, the token being used in vending machines and payment processing systems, a smartphone wallet, and other D-apps such as video games that also have our tokens and items. So we're just shy of 170,000 followers. We've seen massive growth since since Q2 this year. And just last month, we got another 16,000 new signups. You just don't know when it's going to happen. It's so unpredictable when things go viral. Well, every single day we're trying to make things go viral and tell people about the project, and then out of nowhere something just like goes viral and hits China, and then all of a sudden you've got like 16,000 new subscribers. Here's a bullet point of how it works. Free-to-play game, gamers buy virtual items, and you can see over here the flowchart of player versus player interactions and player versus environment interactions. And obviously we're going to be part of the economy selling virtual items and things like that to the gamers. We're also working on a marketplace, which is actually a white label of the OpenSea platform, where users can upload content and then it will be tokenized. The community will vote on what they want to see in the game, and then they can buy it from the marketplace and then they can sell it. Now we have written into the smart contract that even if the gamers are trading between each other, that us as the publisher and the original creator of the content will get a revenue share. So even if it's 5 years down the line and somebody sells it for $100, they're going to get a small percentage of that $100. I think that this could be really valuable for the music industry as well, to be honest. So right now we're using this. We're selling token and virtual item bundles on our website. We sell bundles of $10, $50, $100, up to 1,000. We don't get that many people buying 1,000. Most of them are about 50 or less. And here's some of the bundles of items that you get when you buy $50 worth. In terms of our roadmap, I set up the company last year. We did a private token sale. We developed a prototype, which you can see on YouTube. Also, there's you saw the trailer, there's some examples of the environments there. Listed on exchanges in Q2 2019, which I don't advise to anybody, to be honest, right now. It's really not, it detracts value and from your project. Focus on your project, I would say. But right now we're working on the item platform and wallet and the pre-alpha, and that's what we're raising money for at the moment. And then we have alpha release, base release, and then licensing the SDK to other developers over the next few years. In terms of the market size, gamers will know that there's millions and millions of players that are playing these games. Fortnite and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds are two of the largest grossing video games in the market right now. Their companies are valued at over 1 billion. But games like Rust and Scum, Ark Survival Evolved, they have about 1 million monthly active users. We're aiming for about half of that or even less. In terms of the business model, free-to-play games dominate the market. You might think that Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption 2 dominate the market. They obviously market their games a lot, but these games have a lot more gamers. 600 million registered accounts. So we're aiming to just get a fraction of this market. And then if we have a decent publisher, then potentially we could grow to this size as well. Our go-to-market strategy is mainly using YouTube influencers. One of the reasons that we were able to grow the community so quickly is because we're advertising to gamers. There's hundreds of millions of gamers all around the world, and we've run YouTube video ads or video campaigns that have got more than 100,000 views, and then that trickles down into fans of our project. We plan to sponsor esports events with the token and have rewards, display advertising, competitions, and sponsoring events, which we've been doing over the last few months. So at the moment we're fundraising. We're raising 220,000 euros for 10% of the company shares. And people can also buy the DO tokens on our website if they're interested. And we have kind of our forecast of what we expect to make over the next few years. And the use of funds is to grow the team to this size. At the moment, we're 5 core developers, and we have freelancers that make the team up to about 15. And our exit strategy is to be acquired by one of the big publishers. So they would potentially just buy the IP from the company, and then they would develop sequels and things like that. And we could just use that money to work on other games. So that's pretty much it. If you've got any questions, then let me know.
So now you're going to have one question from each of the jury, and for each pitch there will be just one question from the audience as well. So one each and then one from the audience. Alfonso, you want to start?
Yeah. In which phase are the platform? How many times you need to complete the...
How much time do we need? Okay, so the blockchain platform has already been developed. The video game is being developed at the moment, and we have a prototype that works, but it's not public facing. It's just obviously the development team, the QA team that are working on it. We have calculated that we need about 6 months to create MVP, which then we would take to publishers and then do a Series A round. So right now we're just doing our seed round. So 6 months is what we've budgeted and timelined. But we'll be developing the game for the next 5 years. But 6 months for the next milestone.
Cool. So what I take from this essentially is, so you're offering a game, you're building a game that most players are already accustomed to, like the game style and so on. Now the incentive here really that can grab the gamer is that that you have the link to the blockchain, that you actually have these virtual items and everything that you can trade and sell in the game. Now I wonder, how do the tokenomics around this look like in order to have this a long-term sustainable model? Because you mentioned things like missions where people can get either rewards but also taking risks and so on. So is there a clear token model on how that's gonna evolve?
Yeah, well, we have an entire circular economy where people are going to earn the tokens, but they're going to need to spend them in order to, gear up and customize their character and get fuel for their vehicle in order to do additional missions. So we're constantly going to be selling virtual items to the gamers. Now, a lot of games already have virtual tokens, V-Bucks and stuff like that in their game. We're just using blockchain to make it more cryptographically secure and tokenizing the assets so they have digital scarcity. So. I mean, we've thought about how it works, and we've seen the problems that other games have, where they have virtual items and tokens that they just create an endless supply. In our case, we're creating them in limited supply, so there's more value there, right? So yeah. But I would like to say that, like, that's actually, I mean, although it is a USP, the most important part of what we're creating is the fact that it's a cool game, right? Because even if people can earn money in the game, it doesn't matter if it's a crap game, right? It has to be a good game, so we focus on making the game amazing. I think that's the reason why we've got so much support, is because people love the look and feel of the game, so yeah.
Thanks.
Jean-Michel?
So I'm a huge fan of this idea personally. I mean, I'm a gamer. It's just something I do for fun. Something I've been doing before it was cool, and I've spent lots of hours, if not years, I think, investing time into games where I end up with a bunch of items, and I just say, hey man, this game sucks. Like, I'm done, and I can't really do much with my investment. So and in this case, you're actually using blockchain in a way that makes sense, and it adds value to the player base, which is great. Further to that, I've pretty much played, I think, maybe half of the games you've have some experience in.
Excellent, yeah.
Which is great too. I like the fact that you're using Unreal 4, because it's just a platform that works. So the graphics and the stability will probably be fine, but I don't think those are the major concerns when launching a game. So if you take like games like World of Warcraft, for example, one of the most unpopular games ever, or Fortnite, which made 120 million last March. Their graphics aren't exactly great. It's all about gameplay and balance, and it's about hype. And Fortnite really managed to build some crazy ass hype. And if you compare them with, for example, Apex, who launched, I think they had 1 million players.
That's a long question.
36 hours. No, but what I'm getting to here is that PR and building hype is really where it's all about. So you have a good background. You're in a good spot. What are you gonna do to build the right hype?
I mean, as I showed you, I've managed to grow the community to 170,000 by myself. You know, like that's without a marketing team, without any marketing budget. I mean, I have spent money on marketing, you know, Facebook ads, social media ads, but YouTube influencer marketing and Twitch advertising is definitely the best strategy for what we're doing, because what we do is we give people the game to play, and then they play it to their millions of subscribers, and then we convert those people into players of our game. And the fact that it's a free-to-play game means that a lot of people are probably going to download it and then test it out, and then it's just about trying to keep those people hooked and keep those people playing the game.
Agreed.
But as I mentioned, you know, like I'm already in contact with a lot of the top 20 video game publishers. I've been working in the industry for a long time now, and they're really interested in what we're doing. So it's a case of me getting to the next stage myself or with our lead investors, and then we basically have people waiting in the Series A round and publishers that already have all the users, so then they can help us access that user base. But you know, even if we're bootstrapping and we remain an indie company, then I mean, I have more than 3,500 YouTube influencer contacts that I'm waiting to share the game with. These are guys in South Korea, Japan, not in China, because China is a completely different ballgame.
Agreed.
But everywhere else, South America, I mean, the Brazilian and Latin American market is absolutely massive. If I'm able to advertise to 100 million gamers and get a small percentage of those people playing our game, then that's a win, you know.
And do you have the ability to airdrop tokens to specific influencers if you wanted to?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's essentially what we're going to do, is reward the gamers, incentivize them to keep playing. We're going to have a kind of like a proof of play system where if they play the game for a certain number of hours, then they're going to get some tokens in order to keep them playing. I mean, we obviously mimic the business model of other successful games such as Warframe and things like that, and Fortnite and stuff like that. So, as the team grows, we're going to have more experts. We already have like free-to-play advisors that work at good game studios. So we know the right people, so yes.
Pandwe?
So I have a two-part question also. What consensus layer are you using? What conversion times are aligned with that? And then what is your concern about the time lag between the user's desire for a token or transfer of a token to actually being able to utilize whatever they're purchasing within the game?
Sure.
And how have you accounted for that?
So we're not concerned about that because we have a hard fork of Ethereum which doesn't have a lot of other tokens on it, and it doesn't have the blockchain bloat issue that the Ethereum mainnet has got right now. The hard fork that we're using is Raft Consensus, and it has no gas fees. So it's a lot faster, and it's dedicated for our project, so we don't really have those other concerns that other people have. At the moment, if you transfer any ERC20 token between different users, it could cost you, 13 or 14 cents or more, depending on the speed. We don't need to be concerned about that. I mean, we can add fees into our protocol, but essentially, it's already faster than Ethereum mainnet. And I'm surprised that there's not more companies that are not using hard forks. People issue ERC20 tokens and then they just run their projects through the Ethereum mainnet. Why would you do that though? I mean, it's just cluttered with nonsense. When you can essentially use exactly the same code base that's hard forked and it's dedicated for your project. That's what software is. That's what people do in GitHub all the time. They clone source code and then they customize it and then use it for their own purposes. So essentially that's what we're going to do. There's already 2 games launched on the Halo platform, by the way, and ours will be the big daddy game that they're waiting to use. So yeah.
Apologies, but I'm not a gamer myself, so my question is more on the KYC side of things. And in fact, when the presentation started, there was a mention of KYC. My question is twofold. Is there a capping of how much a gamer can spend on the game? And my second question is, what controls do you have in place to vis-a-vis AML?
This is a question that everybody always asks, especially because there's cryptocurrency
Boring,
involved. So at the moment we have a kind of like just a standard KYC process on our shop on the website. If people are buying tokens through the exchanges, then obviously the exchanges have their KYC processes. When the game is deployed, we will have a kind of tier-based KYC system. Most of the gamers are probably only going to buy $5 or $10 worth of tokens and buy virtual items. I think that the risk is that when there's the ability to cash out, that's when we would need to do a kind of KYC and AML check. But a lot of investors ask me the same question. But that's the reason why we're partnered with a company like Authentic or potentially others like Yoti.com, which have face recognition technology to verify that the user is who they say they are in the photograph. So we would have tier-based. If you're under a certain threshold, then you don't need to verify yourself other than your name and your address potentially. If it's slightly higher, then you would flag up in the system. It would be exactly the same like the iGaming sector. They have tier-based as well. The exchanges have tier-based, so that's how we would do it. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the biggest concerns that investors have is what's to stop people from laundering money through your game? And I think that, okay, well, you could launder money through anything if you wanted to, really, but you just need to make sure there's checks in place. But I think that we will have thresholds, but I imagine that most gamers are going to be way, way under that threshold. They already are, so.
Thank you.
And just one question from the audience. Okay, please.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi. I love gaming. I made a gaming career myself, and I have over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and I founded a company that does a digital in-game item rental service. So like when I wake up, I pretty much just like think about skins. I think like when you talked about like the revenue when it comes to like Fortnite and PUBG, what I've seen with Counter-Strike, right, is when they added like an element of gambling in it, when it did the cases, it did like wonders for the game. And it's because when a player decides to gamble in the game essentially to get like cosmetics, they see like the items passing by and they get like a near abyss, which is like actually like more effective than actually winning the item. So that like makes them gamble again, and that boosts your economy like so much within your game. So please, are you adding an element of gaming within your game? An element of gambling with like loot boxes or cases, whatever.
I think that maybe loot boxes we might need to stay away from. I mean, I do think that what we're developing is kind of crossing into the iGaming sector, but we also want to be careful that we don't become a platform that's for gambling, and we want it to be skill-based, right? But obviously we will have a marketplace for virtual items, and players will essentially be able to stake on the outcome of a fight between two players or a race between several players, for example. So we would probably develop the infrastructure to enable that. But at the same time, I also want to be cautious because I don't want to be an iGaming company, and I don't want it to be known as a gambling video game. I want it to be known as a video game with digital scarcity, and that's an epic kind of Ready Player One style environment. That's famous for its IP rather than the fact that you can gamble in the game, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm interested in talking more about that with you for sure.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Stefan. Big applause for him. So now, Jerry, I would like to know which mark you'd like to give them, and Mariana from Future Block will take the notes, and you can turn around to show the audience. So from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest that you would put all your money into it. Yeah. You have bodyguards waiting outside, don't worry. Okay. Good. So we see the gamers and the non-gamers. I think it's mostly that. Thank you. So now I'd like to call on stage Wesley Elul, who is the founder of Quizando. So we are gonna stay a bit in the entertainment space as well with Wesley. So Wesley, you have as well 10 minutes. I will ask for Richard to put his presentation on the screen, and Mariana will be able to start the 10 minutes.
Hello, check. 1, 2. Hi, everybody. Welcome
Perfect.
this morning. Thank you, Beatrice, for this amazing business breakfast. Thank you to all of you who've come here. My name is Wesley Elul. I'm from Quizando. We're a company that's existed since 2016. And I'm going to walk you through a couple of the issues that we faced. Quizando initially existed as a very simple platform. We asked a question: would people play a pub quiz online? People like to go to a pub, they like to play a pub quiz. Would they play it online on a pay-to-play method where you answer a series of questions, and if you win, you get the pot? Very, very simple. We launched that 2016, and we saw massive success in the terms of the platform we actually built. In fact, our servers were crashing because we had too many players going into our games. That meant we had something on our hands, so we decided, let's take this and start scaling it up. And what we initially tried to do when we were doing this is we were going around various different companies for funding for the platform. We started asking a question: could we help anybody else? And we started seeing a problem in the industry. Let's just go here. So essentially we found one problem, was that celebrities and digital creators have built audiences who currently have limited ways to engage with their fans. These are YouTubers, these are people on Twitter, Twitch, wherever they may be. There's very limited ways to engage with fans. There's essentially two methods. Either you post something and you comment reply, or you do a live stream. These are the sort of methods that are available in the market at the moment. Secondly, content creators around the world are finding it a problem to monetize that audience they have there. So as you know, there's influencers. These guys are doing these adverts all over their Instagram or their YouTube, but they're also losing credibility as they do so, because the content that people used to follow them for have now become adverts. And it's really hard for these guys now to make money just through the actual content creation. YouTube, for example, for 1 million followers, you'll get something, 1 million views, you'll get about, I think, €1,000, somewhere about that. Now, if you had 1 million viewers on a national television station, you'd be earning, well, a lot more than that. So there's been a bit of a problem when it comes down to this. So these people aren't monetizing. The third problem which we found was that there's actually hundreds of thousands of people around the world, hundreds of thousands of games, which allow people to gamble for money, but very few that allow people to win money with their skill. They just don't exist. When we started Quizando, this was the first thing that we actually found. So we launched the platform, and Quizando became the solution. Essentially, it's a web platform where celebrities and creators can host structured live streams to their audience around the world in the form of a live social skill game. What this does, it increases the engagement with their audience, gives that back to their audience because the audience is actually winning a prize, and allows the actual influencer, celebrity, or creator to make money from their audience directly. So they're actually monetizing their engagement, their interactions with the fans, rather than waiting on a third party to give them the money. Hold on 1 second. Currently, we're actually live, just to let you know. We've opened a live beta about 2 months ago. This has been scaled up. We have live hosts today, including Boyce Avenue. These guys are YouTubers with over 13 million followers. That's just on their YouTube channel. Their other socials just blow up. Gaia Kauki, a former Junior Eurovision winner, X Factor contestant. Raya Cabrera, if you guys remember The Hills from the 90s on MTV, he's one of our hosts. Renee Bagwadin, former reality TV star of America's Next Top Model. And, for example, History Guy, YouTuber. These all have these audiences. Between them, they're like, just over 13 million. But they're not monetizing that audience. These guys make it through concerts, but they have to travel around the world. She literally doesn't make any money unless an advertiser is giving her any money. Ryan does his occasional concerts, he's on a tour. The History Guy makes it through views. This guy has 525,000 dedicated fans who watch his videos, and he's making a pittance off of these guys. And the main issue is these people want to engage with him. They want to play with him, but he can't answer 525,000 comments. He doesn't want to be what they call a digital beggar. I'm not sure if you've heard of Patreon, which is one of these platforms where people can help support their creators. But these people, what they find is they feel like, why are you just giving me money to say hello? This is not something I want to be. And what they've all have found this is that they're giving their audience something back. So our market validation is quite simple. YouTube's figures show there's over 800,000 channels with 10,000 plus subscribers. In our since we've launched our beta, we have over 20,000 players. Actually, we're at 28,000 players from over 50 countries. And similar platforms to ours, once they've scaled, have hit 12.8 million downloads within the space of 12 months. The market size is big. There's more than 2.3 billion gamers around the world who spend 1.1 billion on games. The potential market when it comes down to quiz players is between 5 to 600 million. A typical player, based on our efforts so far, is actually spending around $100 a year. So not big money, but with a lot of them, that can be up to a 60 billion euro market. There is competitors in our space, but not exactly the same. You have people like HQ Trivia, which you may know, or Facebook's Confetti, who have created a limited number of live games. These are all studio-based games. KO Trivia, which has no prize, a limited number of games a day. Quiz App, which has been around for years, no prize, but you can play anytime. And Quizando sort of falls somewhere in the middle. You can play any time of the day, and you can also win money. So we're a little bit unique in our sector. Business model is quite simple. We have two models in Quizando. So the original model was this model here, where a player essentially pays to join one of our games. There will be a winner. 50% is paid out to the players. 50% Quizando keeps as our cut of the pie. The Quizando Live model is a win-win-win situation. So the players play to join. That then gets held within the game until the game is over and we've found a winner. That then is cut 35% to the player, 35% to the host, and the other 30% to Quizando. So a very even split among everyone. According to what we've seen, best possible outcome. We become market leader, have 1 billion in yearly revenues. Realistic scenario is we have 200,000 players per year, generating between 16 to 20 million per year. Worst case scenario is gradually increased by 50,000 players per year, generate 5 million in revenue per year. These are projected turnovers over the next couple of years. We see this, this is, by the way, on our worst case scenario, based on over here, by year 6 having projected turnover of 8 million. Team is a team who have been working in the digital space for a long time. James Calvert, our CEO, and has been my business partner since 2005. That's me. Chris Mifsud is a marketing guru here in Malta. He runs MPS, one of Malta's largest marketing agencies, and has been working with brands like Procter & Gamble, Vodafone, Ford of Europe, Kellogg's, etc. Robert Greck, our COO, has been in operations in tech startups since, again, 2006. Our lead developer has also been with us for a long time, and Voice Avenue are actually one of our shareholders and are helping us reach out to the hosts around the world. This is our current roadmap. As you can see, we've hit here where we have the live launch, which is happening next week, where we start our marketing push. Q4, we started development of our app. We also start development of new games, because Quizando is not just going to be a quiz platform. This is going to be the world's first digital game show platform. Interactive TV. We do not have it, because the technologies didn't exist. Quizando Live is the first one that's allowing that, but what's more, it's also allowing a decentralized version, because all of these hosts, they're not coming to our studios. They're doing it from their laptop, wherever they may be. So just to give you an idea, we're going to be announcing towards the end of this month former England international footballer Gary Neville, who will be joining our platform. He's going to be hosting that literally from his hotel room before he goes and plays a match. Goes and commentates on a match. Boyce Avenue, the same thing. Wherever they may be, they can host these games. We're going to be allowing a lot of people, especially small creators, to monetize an audience when nobody will give them money. So far, we've raised 750,000, mainly through high net worth individuals, and angel investors, founders, family, and friends. You're probably asking, where does blockchain come into all of this? Okay, very simple. Blockchain is not in the solution at the moment, and there was a reason for that. Initially, we were going to run an ICO and do this all through the blockchain. As we were doing it, which was August 2018, it was a little bit low in the market. We decided to hold a little bit longer. We had X amount of funds, and we just said, can we use this funds to raise the money, or raise more money and build a platform? We built a platform without blockchain for the time being, and we changed our directive. What we decided to do is we're going to be adding the blockchain element, which was the core element, to create trust between our different parties. That will happen when we hit 200,000 players. The idea over here is their tokens, which they're already buying within our system, will actually be swapped to crypto tokens, by which creating mass adoption without them even knowing. All of a sudden, we will have tokens in a lot of people's hands, which will allow them to say, by the way, guys, you can actually take this and put it out somewhere. The token will not be about token price. We're not talking about increasing and decreasing tokens. It's about usage, the pure element of cryptocurrency, at least in my opinion. When it comes down to it, I want to build trust. I want people to see blockchain for what it can be, as a transactional value that builds trust, integrity, and transparency between all the parties involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wesley. Okay. So,
Yeah.
In your live platform,
Yeah.
so you have the gaming side of things, the talent,
Yeah.
and the audience.
Yes.
I didn't quite get how will you be linking me as a gamer,
Okay.
for instance, to watching Gaia Kauki talk. sing,
Okay,
or
so
whatever.
it's really simple. You actually just log on to our website. You choose you can choose a number of hosted quizzes. We're literally live today. So Gaia Kauki is hosting her quiz today at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. she's going to log in. You're going to log into the quiz as well. You're going to have there's a chat area for you to chat, but as well a live game. She's going to be live on video. So she's going to be engaging with you on video. She's going to be hosting the game and controlling the flow of the game. It's a structured live stream. I'm not sure if you've ever watched any live streams of these celebrities. They sort of really go nowhere. They just wait for people to ask questions and sort of goes into a weird world. What's happening on Quizando is because we have a topic, let's say last week we had Halloween, and one of our hosts, who's a big TikToker, which has some 1 million followers on TikTok, her fans came into that, and she started talking about Halloween. In between each question, it was anecdote stories about Halloween, their favorite Halloween thing. They were engaging and building a closer relationship with her on a topic that her and her audience cared about. So basically, it was just playing a game, like you would any quiz game. The only thing is you have a live video feed. So imagine you're sitting at home.
Someone who's popular.
Have
But
someone
you
who's
won't
popular.
be using their talent, so to speak,
Yep.
to attract investors or gamers.
Yes, that's it. They're basically using their audience base who are already engaging with them. Again, we have other ways of doing this as well because we have specialized topics, say Star Wars, for example. We're working on brand deals whereby Star Wars would say, host a quiz on here and bring one of their celebrities in to help promote and educate on that brand, or Pepsi. As another example, they would come in, they would actually have a quiz about Pepsi, also gain some information along the way, because there's other verticals which we're working on, which also include information sourcing from clients. So using this for live polling, also in debates and political scenarios. The technology doesn't stop here, it sort of starts here and then we just start moving it out.
So this went, you shared some data about market size
Yes.
that I think was interesting. You said that you had $100 for average users.
Yes, that's actually based on our scenario.
And then you said that could reach 60 billion, so that seems very large. But I think my question would be around what kind of guidance or direction are you using from questions? It seems like the direction for the quizzes, it seems like the direction you have is to allow either the influencer or corporations or sponsors to select let me finish the question. to select the
Been through these before, that's why.
to select the framework. And I guess my thought as it relates to market size is millennials and Gen X and Gen Z have, according to research, at least in the US, and I think that we're behind on a global standpoint, number one concern is climate change and sea level rise. And so my question would be, how are you shaping the questions to match what the population is interested in, particularly the population who comes on and is interested in games, and how does that relate to the selection of influencers, since the people who you put up may not have an expertise in those various areas? And then because you talked about sponsorship and corporations, sort of how does all of that play together, particularly since many of those corporations that you named are the culprits of the problem? And so how are you going to deal with that tension with the users and the sponsors and the influencers?
So let's start first. Think of this as YouTube, right? Today on YouTube, Greta Thunberg might have a channel. So do Pepsi. They have their own little world where their information sort of is streamed out to people, and people can follow what they wish to follow. So they don't have to play every game when it comes down to it. We're very much going to be a network, not a single publisher. What we're doing at the moment when it comes down to our hosts, we're actually going through and selecting manually. We're literally contacting people on a one-by-one basis, or people are contacting us. We're actually reviewing their content to see if they're going to add value to our organization. I don't want just a pretty model who's going to flip her hair left and right and have nothing to add value to the community. How are we choosing the subjects? Well, first and foremost, we're allowing the hosts, if they're hosting a live subject, to choose the subject themselves. We create all the content on it. So we do all the background research, we do all the history, we do all of that. They just have to show up. So we're not creating a lot of work for them. So let's just say Greta Thunberg decided to come on board and she wants to push climate change. We would create a quiz which is specific to that, to her needs when it comes down to it. These are 10, 20, 30 question quizzes. They're not something that will take us 10 years to write, but something that could be current. I mentioned Star Wars before is coming out, The Last Jedi. We have a couple of nerds in our creation team, and they're creating a whole bunch of quizzes based on the different planets of Star Wars which are coming up. So we're trying to gain sentiment and vibe of what's happening. Now, a corporate, they probably will come in, but they'll probably come in on a free-to-play quiz where they're actually paying for everything to happen there. So whoever wants to join can join, but they're actually not going to have to pay to join that quiz. It's a slightly different model because they would actually pay us to host the quiz. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Michelle?
Maybe it's just me. I'm struggling to see the relevance of how Quizando is supposed to tackle climate change and that sort of issue. I think you have a working model, or at least you will in the future.
No, we're working and we're live.
Okay.
We're every day we have, just to give you an idea, without any marketing, it's really small. We just turned on the switch. We're having about 50 to 60 players joining on a daily basis, just with our test audiences over there.
Which is great.
Yeah, and not just registering, but actually paying to join as well. So buying tokens into our system.
Which is great. I just don't think the goal of climate change kind of plays like anything to.
Well, the thing is, there's education. We are in the business of asking questions.
Agreed.
And the thing is, you do learn a lot through it. What we're finding is our hosts who are coming in, our players who are coming in, they're going through. Sometimes they think they know the stuff. One of the things we're working on is the fact that people actually believe they know more than they actually do. So we're actually trying to challenge them. So the first couple of questions might be a little bit easy. Yes, I know that. Yes, I know that. But it leads them to more and more interesting questions. In fact, a lot of people ask us for repeat quizzes with more in-depth questions. So the idea is education, so it can help climate change in that respect.
Fair enough. So I'll go on to the main question. Okay. I think there's definitely an application for utilizing, or for celebrities rather, to utilize the platform as a form of engagement with their user base. That's completely clear. What I wanted to see is more if the YouTuber in the house would actually use this to engage his.
The first thing that popped in my head is like, I'm not gonna go to another site. Why? Because my audience is on YouTube and Twitch. I would have to rebuild it on Quizando. I do like it. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but I would integrate it differently. So, for example, I would make like just something that you can download, you know, and then you can play it, and then you can stream it yourself on YouTube and on Twitch, so you don't have to like drag the audience there, and then, I don't know, figure out a way to like actually get like the people to pay for it.
Okay, so just to give you an idea, what we're also doing is we're restreaming the games. So the people who are playing and inside the live game, we're restreaming onto Facebook and to Twitch and to YouTube as live streams, so people can watch these things. But then if they want to be engaged, if they want to be inside the game, they'll have to pay for that. And we're seeing the conversion over. People are doing it. What we're seeing is that people who want to engage with their fans, they want to be that step closer. That is why Patreon works, because people want that one little element to be closer. In my case, I'm just not a fan of the fact of giving money for nothing. This is giving money with a reason. Also, just to let you know, we're also working with charities and organizations like this to also raise funds using this platform where they can bring in the person and they can actually raise funds through this area. We're speaking to a number of organizations in the UK, and we hope to reach out to the United States.
Thank you.
So my question would be, as you illustrated in the presentation, initially you started out with like blockchain being one of the fundamentals of the project, and you now pivoted around that and said, okay, let's put it aside for now and try to integrate it later. Obviously, the platform, as I understood it, is mainly about giving the influencers or the content creators a different way, a more efficient way to engage with their audiences, like literally engage. How long is this focus gonna lie on this quiz part and on the educational part, and when do you plan on opening it up to essentially almost like you mentioned, like many other ways of
first we have certain KPIs which we have to reach. Again, it all depends on our investment cycle now. As I said, we've raised 750,000 so far. This is going to give us 6 months of operational runway to run and create no revenue. We should be, according to our data, we should be revenue positive actually in about 2 months' time, and we could have a slow growth period where we just continue to grow revenue and get there. Our goal is to hit 200,000 users before we actually change the model to blockchain on that. And also, if I just go to the over here, so we're looking at Q2 actually releasing a number of other games, because the idea is this is also going to be about social games. So it's not just a quiz. The quiz is the first simple one. We have a number of other social games where the actual host can be playing with their fan base. It creates viral content and create viral content through it. But that's going to be happening Q2, according to our records.
Okay, so it's always going to be essentially like you take the influencers or like whoever uses your platform on their hand, and you're going to collaborate in order to create whatever you're going to do. In this case, it's going to be a quiz. In the future, the education component is going to remain, and you're just going to
then we have other verticals. For example, we're working with publishing houses. For example, newspapers and media houses are in decline. Their finances for them are very hard. We're actually working with them to engage their readers in a different way. We're working with, as I mentioned, footballers. Footballers have a very big problem. 5 years after they actually finish their career, they're actually most of them are actually bankrupt. So we're helping to restart their careers. But then we also have the small creator in mind, the guy who can't make any money. Help him, support him before he gives up. Boyce Avenue, who are with us, they were about to give up 3 months before they made their big break. They were full-time working. One of them was a lawyer from Harvard. They were doing their thing, and one of them had a second kid on the way and said, I can't do this. I can't do this. And he said, look, give us 3 months. They happened to make their break, but they actually knew that if that didn't happen, they'd be, just doing their normal thing, and they wouldn't have given the world so many different covers. But yeah, we want to help the small creator as well. So we're actually selecting talent, even from small pools. You might have only 2,000 followers, but we want to help them, and this hopefully can help the rest of the world.
Thank you, Alfonso.
Yeah, you have realized a slide with the business case. Best case.
This one, yeah.
Next. With the worst case.
Oh yes, okay. So
okay.
Where we are.
Okay.
Possible outcome.
Yeah. Okay. Why your team is the best team to make this project disruptive?
Okay.
To go to the best case scenario.
Without really wanting to sound arrogant, first of all, they have me.
That sounds arrogant.
I've been in the tech space and created hundreds of solutions over the past since I started my tech career in 2005 with no tech background, being a DJ. I'm a creative thinker. And what we're doing is we're agile and we're on our toes. We want to change things, and I want to change things. I've always focused on Malta. Just to get, by the way, my background is I've been based in Malta since for the last 26 years, creating solutions in Malta that whole time. We wanted to reach out to this because we wanted to reach a wider world, and we thought we could do something. We thought a game would be a fun way to start this process. From here, we have big visions, big plans. I have the next 3 projects lined up. But first and foremost, we want to get this out to the world and help solve a problem for a lot of people. That's one. The rest of my team, they ground me. They bring me a little bit further down to earth. But between us, we have the expertise and the longevity of business relationship that we're not going to fall out. We've been together now since 2005 for the most part. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone from the audience has a question? No? No more question? Okay, good. Thank you, Wesley. Thank you so much. So now I would like to call Brian and, sorry, yes, you're right, the result. So please give me your mark. 5, Jean-Michel? I like it. Yeah, very good. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, thank you. So now I would like to call Brian and David from Give Nation, please. Yes, I give you the clicker. You can have a seat here if you want. So you can hop in when you want. That's the clicker. Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, so you have 10 minutes as well. Jury members, try to be a bit quicker on the question.
Can you guys hear me?
You can keep it for after, yeah. It's fine. Thank you. Okay, let's go.
Is this on? Can you guys hear me? It's on?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Eldridge.
Is it?
Up here? Better? Okay. It's all about proximity. Yeah, that's what it's about. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here this morning. My name is Brian Eldridge. I'm co-founder of a company called Quantum Wallets, and we're the business and development partner on a project and organization we're very proud of called Give Nation. Give Nation is more than a company. It's more than a really cool app that sits on top of blockchain. It's a movement. And at the heart of that movement are 2 very important issues that everyone involved is very passionate about. The first one is teaching financial literacy. We believe that's a worldwide issue. You know, I grew up in a household where financial literacy wasn't spoken of, and we're looking at another major crisis in the market around student loan debt. We've seen the housing debt. There's all kinds of commercial loan issues out there. But we also want to do it in a way that impacts climate change. And to do that, we believe very strongly in aligning with the Sustainable Development Goals. So how are we doing that? Well, in the app itself, the learners have the ability to earn Give coins. Okay, so they can do this either through taking training and courses on the individual Sustainable Development Goals. There's a portal for parents where parents can go in and set up tasks for the app owners where they can earn. They can give coins to charities. There's also a gamification element that's being developed that's going to allow them to give coins to other participants. So as I'm learning a Sustainable Development Goal, maybe I'm on a proficiency level 1, and I'm a newbie, and I have a friend that's a 4, and I want to give them some coins or tokens to help me get to that next proficiency level. There's a marketplace where commercial vendors are participating that provides special deals where the students can actually spend some of their money. And then at the end here, as part of the core technology of the Give app, you have the ability to have sub-wallets. Okay, so the earners can have different budgets and different areas, and they can have some of their different tasks assigned to some of these different budget areas. Endorsements, as you can imagine, we haven't received a lot of negative feedback about the concept. We have a lot of large organizations that have shown interest in participating with this. There's actually a Give kiosk that's being developed that will be on site at some of these organizations where employees can come up and give tokens, give coins. There's about 40 partners that signed up. This is a very small sampling of folks that are very interested and passionate about what we're doing at different levels of involvement, different levels of investment. Over the past week, I want to say the founder, Arnaud St. Paul, has 3 major news outlets that have approached him to be talking about this live on air, and 3 other major corporate partners that have come on board as well. The team, even though we're not part of the team internally, fortunately, I know half these people for almost 20 years, and they not only have really, really big hearts, they're very talented and have very mature networks and very passionate about what we're doing and have been very hands-on. Christina Nizel, who's here at the bottom, is also part of our board. She formed the Lego Club at Lego, and so she's very talented building communities. And we believe that the community development around this is going to be essential for broad-scale adoption. So where is the project at so far? We're finalizing the beta test at the moment and raising the rest of those funds. We have a soft launch that's based on the UI, the UX, and the CX. It's all about the experience, so we're actually getting the app in the hands of kids and getting some feedback. The next level is really about PR. Which we've started in earnest. We actually started that a little premature based on the feedback that we're getting and the amount of people that wanted to talk to us about the project. And then the third level is really to go out to the channels that we'll be looking at here in a moment. So how is the impact measured? Well, the model that we have built estimates for every 100K invested, 5 years in, that's almost 80 million investment in SDGs, which is the real outcome on this. So we want to demonstrate the social impact, but the vehicle to get to that social impact is around teaching financial literacy and building the community around the Give Nation app. So what have we done so far? We have an MVP. Again, it's mostly UI UX. We haven't connected to our blockchain backend, which is a bespoke version of Ethereum that we have running on the back end, very similar to the first gentleman that spoke. We've secured 3 first-tier partners, and we have a pilot platform to be launched very soon in Kosovo. The next steps after this is rolling out the pilot. We have an evergreen crowdfunding campaign, which we have a lot more information about that we won't be able to get into today and how that works, and building out the ecosystem. The exit strategy is likely a private equity group or some type of payment company. The go-to-market strategy, Arnaud is very astute in understanding the power of channels, and it's a multi-channel redundancy model where each channel partner reinforces and supports the other channel partners that are out there. And this is really the thrust of the go-to-market strategy, is building these out. Now, there are certain complications in certain markets around the availability of data of children of a certain age and online, so we're working through a lot of those regulatory issues at the moment. But very excited about the potential of this exciting project. So at this point, I'm going to hand the mic over to David. He's going to talk more about the heart and soul of the project.
Thanks, Brian. Hey guys, my name is David. My background is actually trading. I teach people about cryptocurrencies, about why Satoshi Nakamoto started this thing in the first place. And I teach them also about the Genesis block, because a lot of dudes out there who love cryptocurrencies don't even know what Satoshi Nakamoto's left is on the first block, right? Huh? Yeah, but the important thing is, what is his message, right? A second bailout for the banks. So the thing is value, right? Money. But what is the real value in life? For me, that's an 8-year-old child with blonde hair. I'm a proud godfather. That is the real value in life. And every time when I ask people, when they come here with us, with CryptoTrain, to learn how to trade and to make from 1 Bitcoin 2 Bitcoins and that and go learn about the skills, and always ask them, why are you here? What is your why? Yeah, I want to have more time. I want to have more time with my family. I want to have more time for doing stuff. Because, you know, the game is being rigged against us. That's a fact. That's a fact for sure. And the moment when I met Arnaud, I was like, wow, this is it. This is what I personally have been waiting for. And I'm actually a giver, because what is life actually, right? The basis of it, it's giving. Giving is living. And life is actually between the B and the D. It's very simple. It's between birth and death, right? But what is between the B and the D? It's the C, the choices we make. And that is creating impact. And for me, it was like, I don't want to be that old geezer who's going to die and going to have like a shitload of bitcoins, and then like, what was my impact? What did I do with my life? I want to be, you know, the godfather that my godchild is very proud of. Now that is a cool dude. See you on the flip side. So, yeah, we all have a life purpose, right? We all want to do something. We all want to have creative. And time is our best asset. Our life is getting shorter and shorter every single day. So, for me personally, the fact that I'm gonna die someday, it's the biggest motivation ever. Because, you know, hustle, guys, and do stuff. And now we have the technology to do so. Blockchain is also humanizing the blockchain. Now we can have collaboration. If we lock our arms, then we can do anything we want because we are the creators. And fuck them, actually. Yeah, but I'm also, yeah, sometimes in the European Parliament and European Commission, I also swear it a little bit. But you know, Give made me take off my anonymous mask and realize that it's not fighting against the system that will make the corrupt system go away. It's just building a better system where the current system seems obsolete. And how do we do that? Is step out the I society and create the we society by teaching them. And our generation, sorry to say, but we're fucked up. And it's about the kids. And this is, for me personally, the biggest why ever. And always, always start with the why. And I would like to thank you for listening to me. And I hope that the C you're going to make today in your life, that will grant you the collaboration that we need to become a giver. Thank you so much.
Okay, maybe Brian, you want to partner up with David for the quiz, for the question from the audience. Maybe Alfonso, you want to start? Or Felix?
I'm going to start this time.
Okay.
So my question would be, who exactly is your target group? Like, what age are we talking about? And following up to this, is this platform more trimmed to actually educate them, to teach them, okay, this is what you need to know, this is what you need to think, or ideally how you should think, how it works? Or is it more learning by doing?
Well, it's both, actually. We're learning, of course, financial literacy, we're teaching them about money. We all were kids, right? We didn't know what money was. Nobody taught us anything. And here we're actually teaching them also by doing it, because the kids, we have also a lab in Kosovo who are actually developing it. It's between the 8 and 20 years young, actually. And kids who are actually developing it, it's for kids, by kids. And that is very beautiful. You can look at it, the app is live, it's Give Nation. You can download it and you can get it for your kids. And they have their own Apple tree. And the best way to understand cryptocurrency or learning is by doing it exactly. Do you want to add?
Yeah, the one thing I want to add about around the SDGs, which is really the heart of the social impact that we have, is about being not just impact investors, but impact entrepreneurs. So with the evidence, with some of these badges that they'll be getting for the Sustainable Development Goals, they'll have to have someone from the outside validate that they've actually demonstrated, they've actually done something. So it's not just about watching a video or taking a quiz. We really want to get them involved to understand the importance of social impact.
Cool.
Awesome, thank you very much. Also, societal change through education seems like a good way.
Can you expand a little bit more on how you plan to onboard parents as partners? I think it's a super idea. Just if you can expand a little bit.
Well, there's a fairly complex rollout plan around how we engage from the beginning of the school year through differentiated instruction concepts. So as the instructors and the teachers are getting to know their students, that gives them a narrative to be able to connect with the parents in a meaningful way. So part of providing the parents some direction on what this program is about, and ultimately with the next phase providing them some instruction as well, so they can get in and get an overview of the Sustainable Development Goals and understand social impact. Because a year ago, when I would go speak to people in the US about social impact, they didn't care. A lot of the people in the capital investment community that we were speaking to didn't want to hear about it. That's changed precipitously in the last year. So we think that we're hitting the market at the right time, and we're going to prick some of the parents' ears up very quickly when we start talking about the core values of what we're doing.
Cool.
So I just wanted to, so my background is actually in education. I studied organizational scaling at Harvard, and my first startup was a network of schools in New Orleans. We opened 16 schools over the course of 3 years in post-Katrina New Orleans. So I sort of understand where you're going with this a little bit. And I wanted to sort of re-ask the question that was asked a second ago in terms of what's the target age, because you didn't quite hit on that. And then ask you my question, which is, you talked a little bit about there's issues with some of the protocols with certain age ranges and rollout. What are you doing with the data? What is the who are the buyers and resources for the data that's collected on this platform? And how are you communicating that to schools, parents, and children? How are you protecting that data? So what data are you collecting? How are you protecting the data that you're collecting? What safety nets do you have in place around that is really my question. But I really wanted the answer to that first question also.
Okay. You want to jump in? Or you want to jump in?
Yeah, it's definitely a good question, but I have to skip that one because I don't know the answer.
Okay. So the model that we have in place today is completely anonymous. You know, we're custodians of the data. The only elements of the data that will ever be shared are any generalized information about the set of data that we have, no individual data out there. So there's certain requirements that we have from both a moral perspective and a custodial perspective to protect the data, but that's our number one priority, is protecting that data. Now, how that works out into the commercial agreements, we haven't worked that out yet, because in the first phase, it's just the soft launch, but that's something that we're very impassioned about, especially with the age 8 to 18, which are the primary audience that we're working with. Because different countries, in between certain ages, you can't store any personal information. In fact, it's very difficult for them to have their own accounts. Some of these will have to run through parents. So there's some implementation strategies around that are yet to be resolved.
I have no question. I just want to say I really hope that this works.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Is there one question from the audience? Yes?
I've got two shots for myself, so obviously
Okay.
I think that some of this is a really good idea. My concern and my question would be is not just the personal information of the children themselves, but how do you monitor the information that you'll be teaching? Where are you taking that from? How do you make sure that that is real and you know, scientifically based and accurate, rather than just something somebody's decided they want to put across?
Well, that's very important to me as well. My background is an educator, and we're building an advisory board that has a rubric that goes through and checks everything from the validity of the content, the alignment to sustainable development goals. It's written at the right level for the right audience. It has criterion reference test items that you can actually show that if you answer the test questions correctly, that it lines back to the goals, et cetera. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Brian and David, thank you. So now Jerry, thank you very much. So Jerry, what is your take on it? Can you? Yeah. Can you take? No. Okay, so here we go. 5, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, very good. So now I would like to call Wojtek from Coins by Con Paprika. So you have your clicker and the mic.
Hello everyone,
Okay.
my name is Wojtek. There in the white shirt is Mateusz, who's gonna help me out later on with some more technical questions. So we are from a company called Con Paprika, which some of you may know or not. It's the second biggest coin market cap alternative. We have built this, and it has been pretty much quite a success. And now we are moving on to the next stage. We have built an app called Coins. So we realized that the problem with adopting cryptocurrencies is that there's the storing and the investing process. It's too complicated. The interference of exchanges is good for traders and early adopters, but but it's very hard for an average person to use. I myself, when I was buying the first time my cryptocurrency, I was, let's say, stressed for some time, and I invested small amount, and I invested more and more as I got used to it. Now more people have smartphones, so we decided that it's better to create an app than to use computers for investing. And we realized that wallets are still hard to use or underdeveloped to trust them. So, that's the experience that you have when you're investing in cryptocurrencies, yeah? So the first thing you do, you basically going to go to CoinMarketCap, or if you are, or you go to CoinPaprika, then you check which coins are good, you make the research, then you go to the biggest exchanges probably, you buy the coins there, and then you store them on wallets, or you follow the portfolio on Blackfolio or whatever. We decided to put that all into one app. So basically, our app allows to discover all the coins. So as CoinPaprika, we are a website that gathers the biggest amount of information about crypto project in the world. Like CoinMarketCap doesn't even have 50% of information that we gather. So it's a very good resource to discover all the projects. Then you can, from the app, you can easily invest in it. You just click buy, and it's stored on your wallet. You can, of course, store it and then monitor all your portfolio. So this is how the app looks like. The app is already working. Matt can send you an invite. It's working now on iOS. So on the first screen, you have information about the current market, what's happening in the market, so some basic macro data with some with free top news from the day. Then you have a list of all the coins, what's happening, like on any other CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko or on CoinPaprika. If you click on one of those coins, you get more information with some videos explaining what's the project about. You can check, I can see from here, the markets, all the details about this coin. You can check the team. You can see what's the progress, what people talk about on Reddit today, and so on and so on. Yeah, so that's a more detailed information. Then what you can do is you can search for different coins. You can search for different projects. If you are looking to invest in gaming, you can just look for tags called gaming, and it will show you all the products related to gaming. You have your wallet here. You can have unlimited number of wallets. Each wallet can have all the coins that we have. We are not supporting all of them now, but our goal is to get the 2,500 coins that we have on CoinPaprika. Yeah, so when you click on each card, you have the list of all the transactions that you have done on each coin. It's very easy to send, receive to your friends. Yeah, this is how you send cryptocurrency. So you just scan a QR code, or you check your friends from your contact number, and it will match his wallet with the contact details. Yeah, that's dark mode if you want to put it in dark mode. So that's the story of CoinPaprika. So we have launched it in May 2018. By now we have over 2 million users monthly. It fluctuates depending on the price of Bitcoin. So this is the whole portfolio of products. Yeah, you have the website, and now we have the app coming. So this is what's included in the app. On one side, you have all the data that is gathering on CoinPaprika, that is updated daily. We have moderators that are checking everything is fine there. This is delivered to coins. On the other side, you have the whole crypto to crypto exchange. We will put crypto to fiat soon, and then it's registered on blockchain. It's also secured by our security company called Grey Wizard. Yeah, so CoinPaprika is for heavy users, geeks, traders, and coins is going to be for more average people, so a very intuitive, easy to use, sort of like a typical Apple app. Yeah. Coin Paprika is going to be an umbrella brand from the source of traffic for coins. So since we have 2 million users already visiting Coin Paprika, we will next by the end of the year we will start moving them to our app. So far we have 96 beta users. We launched it last week, like the beta trials, and the app started already making money because they started exchanging coins. Yeah, so that's maybe not that important. This is the team of our founders. So basically, Michael, who has founded a few startups. One of the biggest he founded is Beyond PL, which is the most innovative data center and the safest data center in Europe. Tomek, which he has started OLX. OLX was bought by Naspers. It's the biggest. So it's sort of like a competition to Gumtree or Craigslist. It's the biggest company classified ad company in the world right now, with over 200 million users. 200 million users. And Radek founded a cybersecurity company that is now securing also coins and Coin Paprika. This is our team. So we have all kinds of people from IT to UX to people who do machine learning, AI, and so on. These are our seed equity investors. So Kulczyk Investments is the biggest investment fund that invests in Central Europe, and Garvest is the company that has founded OLX and Allegro, which is the biggest competitor to eBay in Europe. Yeah, so that's basically all. If you want to get access to this app and you want to use it now, you can basically start exchanging crypto in 1 minute, literally. It's super fast, super easy to use. I encourage you to use it. When I used it first time,
not to.
I wasn't writing, that was him. So if you want to try, I encourage you to use it because when I used it first, I wasn't developing the project. I was waiting until it's ready, and the first time I was using it, I was like, gosh, I wish I could have this app in 2016, 17 when the Bitcoin bull happened, and I was started being interested in that. It's super, super easy and fast. Yeah, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions, Alfonso, you want to start?
Yeah. You can say me a little more about your value proposition.
About the value proposition. Okay, so basically, what you do normally, what we want to do is, instead of going to many different places and websites to check out data, and then normally if you want to invest in a coin, what people do is they go to CoinMarketCap, they see what's happening, which one is new, then they go to a website and they read articles and so on and so on. So we want to put all the discovery information and data in one place, then the buying part also in one place, and then the keeping and tracking also in one place. Yeah, so it's going to be all in one app. You won't have to use all these kinds of tools to do that, and you won't have to log in somewhere outside. It's all going to be background. Yeah, so the app is going to be the UX, but on the background we're going to be connected to exchanges, coin switches and so on and so on.
Okay, thank you.
Felix?
It's non-custodial, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you have some way to give the average user some kind of scoring system or risk rating system on each and every coin? And
no, we don't want to do that because we don't want to be a side, deciding like, okay, this coin is better than this coin. We don't want to do that. Yeah, we just want to give you all the kind of information that you need to make your own decision. Yeah. There was a platform called Coin Checkup, I think, that was our competitor, and they were doing rating like 5 stars, 4 stars, but they were giving 5 stars sometimes to potentially good projects that don't exist now. So it's such an unpredictable industry that We won't want to do that. We just want to be like, Financial Times or Bloomberg, giving you the right information, then you decide.
You said that there's a rollout to fiat. What is the time frame on that?
Yeah, we don't have that yet. That's why we came here actually. The problem is now that the fees are a bit bigger. So I think they charge 20%, yeah, which is crazy.
About the card, yeah?
Yeah, the fiat to crypto.
Yeah. Okay, so about the fiat crypto, we are registered in Poland. And in order to get the processing fiat to crypto, we need to get a proper license. We are in the middle of getting it, and after it will be done, that's also why we came here to the summit, because we would love to meet all the people around Europe, around the world, who are processing the fiat into the crypto, because as we get the license, we want to launch as many fiats as possible for people. So right now it is not possible because we are not licensed properly and we do not want to do anything shady, I would say.
Yeah, so we are doing the license right now to become the small transaction partner or something like it's called, something like this. So we could do small sums, yeah. So for now we don't want to do like $1 million investments because we don't want to take so much risks for now. But in the end, I think the idea is to integrate it with Apple Pay or something like this to make it super fast. Yeah? And we know that there are companies that are doing it. The problem is that the fees are big. The fees are big. So it's better when you buy Bitcoin somewhere and just transfer it to our app, and then you start investing from our app. So you top it up with cryptocurrency and anyone you like, and then you invest from there. Yeah. The problem is a bit with fiat to crypto. What's time for what?
To be able to do that.
Get the license and be able to do
I think it's the matter of the maximum of a half a year, but if we'll get optimistic, it will be around 4 months, I guess.
But if you top it up with Bitcoin now, you can exchange like in 1 minute, right? Starting from now, so it's already working.
Any question from the audience? Yeah, one. The micro.
Android?
Just a sec.
I have it on Android. I can show it to you.
When Android, for the people that can't hear.
I have Android. I have it on Android on my phone. I can show it how it looks like and how it works. It's pretty much working right now, but there are some bugs that we need to tweak. So we just wanted to launch the one that is working properly. And
because don't forget that's 80% of the user base.
Yeah. It's simultaneously being developed. It's just Android. A bit more difficult. So
like
it's a bit slow.
just to say it as simply as possible, Android version is delayed. Is delayed due to some, I would say, internal problems. And iOS is our leading platform because we want to get the Apple Touch, I would say, so the app will be as easy to use as possible, so that I'm not sure how many people here use Apple Pay, because, for example, our coins, my coins, our wallets, we wanted to make it look as Apple Pay possible as possible.
Okay. Thank you very much. Big applause to both of you.
And as I said, can you scroll to the last screen? Our last time we've been here was May, and we've been signing for the beta test that it will happen in the future. Right now they're open, and just send an email, and within 5 minutes you'll get the working app on your phone.
Yeah, if you want the app, just send an email to this email, and Matt is going.
Chiliz,
You don't
just
have to
one
write
L,
that
it
Chiliz.
will work as
just
well.
write test.
So Jerry, please. So what marks do we have now? Ta-ta-ta. 4, 4, 4, 2, and 3. So just Felix, you didn't. You're gonna have a bodyguard to leave the the event, I promise. Okay, thank you very much, guys. So now we are going to welcome the Dane team on board. So same again, you're gonna have 10 minutes and then a few questions, and then we'll move. We still have two. So Dane, and then we have RegPex. So okay, guys, good luck. Yeah, and just Go in the middle. You have the clicker.
Okay.
You have the clicker.
Hello, everyone.
Here. Who wants the clicker? For you? Okay.
Hello, everyone. I am Jose Ramon, and here's my colleague Andres Contreras from DAIN. Well, first of all, which does mean DAIN? Well, we are a decentralized artificial intelligence network. We have some problems with the typography because of the formats from Microsoft and Mac. Do you know that this sucks? But okay, don't worry. And maybe you are asking, why AI? Okay, I think that AI doesn't need any type of presentation. All in this room, I think, that knows that AI will change our world like in the past did electricity or internet. And the reason is simple. We can do a lot of things with AI. And the markets know it too. You only need to look at the numbers. The AI market is continuously growing year by year. And that's great, but artificial intelligence have also their own problems, especially with those companies which are more traditional companies, which are facing a digital transformation. These companies have to deal with the infrastructure, the software, they have to prepare the data, they have to catch the expertise in the market, and they have to integrate the AI with their legacy systems, and have to manage the change, which means deal with employees and customers. And this is too much effort. So it's normal to think, why if you create your own data center to deal with all of these problems? Well, bad idea. This implies high operational risk and requires a huge investment. For example, Google spent around $13 billion in 2017 to create their data centers. And to keep it in mind, Google is the third main provider of the cloud services, with a wide difference between the first, which is Amazon Web Services. So go to cloud computing providers. Perfect. They have the infrastructure to run the AI. They have a large portfolio of services already tested by the market, and they take care of the maintenance, the support, and the improvement of their services. But these providers have also their own problems. We could say that they have a dark side, okay? First of all, data centers consume already 3% of the whole energy produced by human beings around the world in an entire year. This is huge, and this is because they're cooling systems. The second is, because of this high cost, we have also high entry costs to be part of the cloud computing, which allow those providers that are already positioned in the market establish a strong control over it and have price policies. And this is completely normal because they are a business and they have to transfer the cost of this investment in the cost of the prices of their services to make its activities profitable. This is an oligarchy. They have the control of the market. And we have also the problem of their data. They win, you lose. They have your data. And everyone here maybe knows, when you have a conversation with a friend, then you open your mobile phone and you can see that Google is offering you the topics that you are talking about, products and services. Well, to be more concrete, when a company have to use this type of platforms, they have to make a huge investment preparing the data, then they have to load the data to the cloud, and then they can prepare and model their models with the data that they have in these systems. But meanwhile, the providers use all of this effort to improve their services and products and offer them to other companies that can be the competence of the first. So this doesn't make any sense. And not all the companies can upload their data to the cloud. For example, banks have a problem with this. They have to ask permission from central banks and are facing high penalty fees because of their when they lose the control of their data of the customers because regulations such GDPR. And we have also the problem of the locking. All of these technologies have proprietary aspects that put high obstacles in those companies which want to migrate their solution to other provider of system. So which type of solution could change all of this into this? Optionality, digital sovereign, an open market, environmental sustainability, and take advantage of the available resources. Well, the answer is ahead of us. We live surrounded by all kinds of devices with high computing power. Without going any further, each of us holds in our hands a computational device, which is the mobile phone, that have higher computational power than the computers that took man to the moon in the Apollo 11 project. And the most time we are using these devices to do things like this. That's me using a Snapchat filter. We have cast with computers, and this advantage user that put the music in his car. Okay, and it's not only mobile phones. There are a lot of devices, all of them connected through internet and satellite networks. So this is the reason because we are gathering the lesson learned over the past decade to create the most cutting-edge technology to bring to the surface all of this idle computational power and build the next generation artificial intelligence platform. And this platform is Dane. Dane is like the Airbnb of artificial intelligence. It's a decentralized, geodispersed computational network governed through blockchain and specialized in addressing artificial intelligence problems. So Dane is focusing on 3 types of users. For those who have hardware to rent, we are offering them a space in which they can do it in order to be used by others in solving AI problems and obtain a reward for it. It's an open solution without having to make any type of investment, and liberalizing the computing market is an open network that, being geodispersed, is able to avoid the energy consumption of the cooling, and is also a responsible alternative to the accelerated manufacturing of new hardware, and a platform who is capable to give a second opportunity to those obsolete devices that usually ends up in landfills around all the world. It's also, for those who want to offer in AI, is a safe space where all of their users can put all their resources, knowledge, and data at disposal to others without intermediaries. And thanks to our distributed computing framework, we are guaranteeing them that they don't use the control of their data. It's a meeting point in which all of the users that share the same needs can create together, can dispose the resources to maximize their opportunities in the AI market and ensure the time to market at the lowest possible cost, okay? For those who only need to consume AI, Dane is we want to say, unchained AI, because they don't need anything. They don't need infrastructure, they don't need knowledge, they don't need data, they only need tokens. With tokens, they can be part of the revolution of artificial intelligence. So, about all of this, we are also creating a business layer to create new business models and relationships between their users. To connecting, for example, clients with users and partners. Just imagine what all of this means. With this type of platform, energy companies, banks, or for example, IPS, can work together sharing data to create better cyber defense. I think that it wasn't my time. Okay. To create more better cyber defense models in order to give their user the ability to operate more safely, and to do so they can use the mobile phone of their user and give them a reward that they can exchange, for example, with films in a video store, or for example, paying their invoicing, or for example, paying their loans. So this is the idea.
Just let me know, you guys, that we are not on the idea stage. We are developing that with two biggest brands in Spain. That is Telefónica, that is one of the biggest ICP providers in Latin America and also in Spain. Also, we are developing another project with Bankia, that is another big bank in Spain. And we have a partnership network coming from MIT ecosystem, Carnegie Mellon ecosystem from Boston and also Silicon Valley area. And then we have closed a partnership with Comillas University, that is one of the biggest universities in Spain, that provides us all the research team and all the research environment. Also, our team, our core team, is coming from both sides, business and technological side. Our co-founder, Luis, is the CIO of Deutsche Bank, that is one of the biggest banks in Europe. And also, Luis comes from Sabadell Bank and also is part of the main board and has a technological profile. And then we have a big network of advisors providing us a lot of services related with marketing, communications, press, and keynotes. And the main idea with that, and the main idea that we are sharing this kind of project with you today, is that we are looking and we are making a private token pre-sale, and we are launching this with two real companies yet in Spain, and we are developing a new products related with Unreal Engine, related with another kind of applications. So thank you very much for your time. Please, if you have any kind of questions, we are completely open to discuss it, and we are on here.
As much as beneficial AI may be, it can also be very harmful. How will you be selecting what AI to allow on your platform?
Well, when we are starting to creating the concept of this platform, the first approach was we want to have a generalistic approach. But indeed, when we are talking with the companies, they need a use cases that supports this platform. So our current approach is identify those use cases that needs the companies in order to build open the platform, and meanwhile we create the suites of algorithms that needs to be running inside this type of machines.
Our vision is technology as a way to accomplish a goal. So we think that we need to understand the business problems and the business issues apart from the business to the technology. So we are selecting some kind of vertical problems, and the idea is to implement different kind of algorithms that can operate in distributed world, because not the whole algorithms in artificial intelligence or big data analytics or whatever the name that you want to use are able to work in the distributed environments. So the main idea is apart from the business problems to go through the technology and implement algorithms using the research team and also the team that we have working for Microsoft R&D in London and in Beijing, and the main idea is that.
So we work with Telefonica out of Miami, and they have, next to Amazon, they also have like a huge cloud computing facility framework for their business, and then they're focused on sensor based frameworks for AI. So my question would be, so how does this integrate with where the big companies are going currently, and what do you think is the disruptive framework to facilitate adoption, given that they seem to, many of them at least seem to be going to the sensor framework as opposed to the distributive model that you laid out, which I think is super interesting.
For example, in the case of Telefonica, Telefonica is selling all the data centers because the business is on the data center, is not in the infrastructure point of view. Telefonica wants to create services over the network. So Telefonica, in our case, is using, for example, the application that it provides to the users to make computing and to reduce costs from the invoice and the add-on demand for these kind of users. And can use these kind of approaches to simplify the architecture and also reduce costs from the infrastructure point of view. Also, on other companies like ICPs, like Vodafone is losing a lot of money because are putting only focus in the ICP point of view, and other companies like MásMóvil in Spain and other providers and moving to services over the network. This kind of service or this kind of approaches provide us the capabilities to make different kind of use cases that don't avoid the data privacy of the users, because the data is in the mobile phone, so the data is not controlled by Telefonica. Telefonica can launch, for example, a use case in the mobile phone of the user with the data that the mobile have, but is not consolidated with Telefonica, so we are avoiding the GDPR. And also the use case that we are developing with Telefonica is for malware detection and denial of services attacks that provide Telefonica capabilities to analyze the whole network and analyze single point of failures or something like that.
Can you explain to me why you think that decentralized AI uses less power than a centralized server?
Useless? Can you repeat,
less
please?
power. There was a slide, I think the first or the second slide, you said that
the 3% of the cost
is a more efficient way to run AI algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's more efficient in the moment that you are using computing power that already is.
Yes, but
so this is one point.
Okay.
And the second point is, as said, is a geodispersed network. So the part of the data centers that have to make a huge investment to operate all of them is not only for the provide the computing sorry for the provider the computing power. Is because they have to create an infrastructure around there to guarantee that the hardware works fine, and this is the cooling problem.
Yes.
The cooling problem is the part that consumes 3% of the whole energy. So this is the part that makes inefficient all this type of solution. And they then, because they have to have the hardware too close in order to be efficient processing data. But we're changing the paradigm. The idea is they have the data in the same place.
It's the saving on cooling basically is going to lead to like less energy consumption.
Exactly.
But I mean, if you consider the fact that say you grab like one physical server and you stack like 40 iPhones and they have the exact same computing power, the centralized physical server is going to be much more efficient because it's one single part and there's no connectivity. That's one. Two, there's everything is happening in one single place. So yeah, I mean, it's not like you're getting this energy for free. Your phones, at the end of the day, they do consume a lot of energy, and they're much more inefficient at scale when you stack them in a large network. And if you look at that at a huge scale, the inefficiency becomes greater. Hence the need for centralized.
Yeah, but the idea is not only using smartphones. For example, everyone that works in a big corporation or an office has a laptop or a computer in the office that maybe in the nights are completely running different kind of processes or something like that. You can share this kind of computational power too.
Which is how Bitcoin eventually grew, right? Because of the whole like proof of work idea. But again, those PCs are still using energy, and you're asking someone to grab their PC to point it towards a process, and it's going to be doing it in a much more inefficient way than the standard cloud data center. So it's going to cost more energy.
This is the question, because we are introducing the federated learning in all of this. This means what the thing that Andres is talking about. If you have the data, they locate it, and you move the model and not the data, you can do the process efficient, because the model learns about all the mini paths that are inside in these mobile phones. And you
Yes.
can do the same process that you sequentially could do in a centralized way, in a decentralized way. I don't know if I can explain myself.
So you're saying keep
So-
the machine learning algorithm on a centralized server
exactly.
and pull data from
Exactly.
individual nodes across the blockchain network.
Exactly. You are accumulating the learning of this model by being sharing the model between multiple nodes of the network, in which all the nodes have a piece of the data needed to train the model.
Okay.
So this is the model.
So you're not buying, like, I'm not buying use of Felix's iPhone, for example. I'm not buying his processing power. I'm buying access to the data stored on his phone, correct?
You are using your mobile phone to receive part of the data, or maybe use the data that you have in your mobile phone
Yes.
in order to train models that could receive from other mobile phones, and
Yes.
the owner of this model is a company.
Yes, and we're just giving them data. We're not giving them processing power.
The data could be given by the companies in a decentralized way that is part of the solution also. But in any case, indeed there are huge barriers to solve some of the problems that have the decentralized way to solve the computing. But because of this, we are also working in our own distributed computational framework. So it's proprietary framework. So no, it's not like the typical solution that you can find in the market. We are creating new technology about it in order to solve this type of issues that you are talking about. Okay?
So I think I see the advantages that lie in such a structure instead of having centralized systems to use it. But my question would be, and that probably refers a little bit to the first question that was asked, is it a permission network in the way that obviously provides me, for example, ways to easily, if I got a neural network, something I want to train, and to do that very efficiently by either providing me computational power, data, whatever, or both. Is this permission? So is there a way, like a control mechanism in place, or can I just do whatever with it?
Good question. The idea that we have is that have federated domains.
What does that mean?
Yeah. The idea is that if you have a mobile phone, and for example, you are a client of Telefonica, inside the application, the mobile application of Telefonica will be a SDK that create a node in the network to run them. Okay, so Telefonica, when Telefonica needs to manage some type of request, they can request you in order to solve it. Okay, but it is possible that other mobiles can be, or mobiles or any type of device can go to the network also by other ways. For example, by their own in other application that could run standalone in a market. Okay, but the thing is, if you are part of the federated domain of Telefonica, you will be selected more often when Telefonica asks to the network to solve some problems. And answering your question in a more strategic point of view, how we are trying to deploy this type of network? Well, our strategy is go to companies and create closed networks of fog computing, which is this type of approach. And there is no blockchain or a centralized contability. There are a centralized ledger, which a central node would manage the contability of the network. But the idea is switch all the networks, merge all the networks in the same network using blockchain. And also to do that, we are creating our own DLT. Which that means, in our DLT, there is no one node that publishes content into the ledger. To do so, it is necessary to create a cluster that is carry on the request that the user has done over the network, and this cluster has to be, first of all, agreement with all the content that they publish. If all the nodes that compose this cluster have some disagreements, they cannot publish. So the first of all is that you can create game theory roles that allow you to manage and deal with dishonest nodes inside the network. And the second is, When we create this cluster, we can take in account other type of characteristics. For example, we can know how riches is a node and how poor is another node, in order to introduce rules that guarantees the wealth distribution inside the network. So we are dealing with the centralization of the economics, like happened with algorithms like proof of stake. And also, we use the effort of this cluster to implement some type of useful proof of work, which means that if the cluster publishes some content, this content is certificated by automatic process machine to machine without intervention of human beings. So the models that are inside of the network, you know that does what it said it does. And it's something that doesn't happen with smart contracts and the apps. As you know, this is the reason because we have a lot of scams and all of this. So sorry, because we are answering other things that you are not asking. Sorry.
We still have someone else behind, but any question from the audience? It's important if they also have any question to ask. Yeah? Can we give the mic? Okay.
What you're developing, how would that be different from current solutions that have tried to do this, like Golem?
Currently, currently with
AI is very complicated to parallelize at scale. It's not something that you do. And to put on top of that a consensus layer that you're building in-house, when there are established consensus layers there, I don't know, things.
Basically, we are developing the whole artificial intelligence engine that works with the distributed datasets. The next idea is incorporate all the DLT technology and all the blockchain technology to manage the network. So basically, we have the research team from the university changing the algorithms that's different suites of programming for artificial intelligence to be run in top of these kind of networks. Then we are putting focus only in neural networks approaches and deep learning approaches. The next step is provide to the network the capability to launch, for example, lazy learning algorithms like KNN or something like that. But then we are only putting focus in neural networks on deep learning approaches.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Muchas gracias, muchachos.
I'm sorry for my English.
No, very good, very good. So now, yes, jury. So basically, I'm gonna represent Daniel that had to leave, but that was his mark. Correct? Yeah. Okay, very good. So now we are going to have the last presentation for the morning. Otherwise, we're going to call it blockchain business brunch, which rhythm as well. So this is Samuel Rondeau of RegPex. So you have 10 minutes to let us know everything. And here is the clicker. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Please stay until the end.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for your patience. I'm Samuel Rondeau. I'm French. I've been living in Malta for many years. I have a background in finance, and I will start with a small story. Last year, when I went to the blockchain summit, I went to get my pass on the network event on the first night, and the very first person that I met on that evening starting to explain me that he solved the issue of controlling the documents that you want to share with a third party. Nowadays, one of the biggest problems is when I create a Word or PDF or whatever, for the minute I send it somewhere, I'm losing the control of this document. And I've created a software in the past 5 years which help you control what's going to happen to this document. And the user which are going to apply their data on this document also control their data. So it's very interesting. I was passionate by his presentation and I decided to join the team. And myself, I've got a background in finance. And I'm mainly active in OTC in Bitcoin. I have been doing OTC in the past years in diamonds and gold in the year 2000, so it's a world I know very well. And basically, I immediately understood that using this software, I could fix some of the biggest problem that exists in the OTC world. So I'm going to talk about Bitcoin today, because that's the most active market I'm doing those days. But we can imagine that OTC, we can do gold, we can do merging and acquisition, we can do many other things. So the background with Bitcoin is very simple. Mainly this information is the strongest one. You have 2,000 addresses of wallet in the world which own about 50% of the Bitcoin. These are early miners, early adopters. These are people with more than 1,000 coins on their wallet, sometimes 10,000 or even more. And there is a big problem to move these coins on an exchange for various reasons. So basically, the idea of an exchange, it's some people are buyers, some people are sellers. There's a marketplace where you bring your liquidity and you meet some people which on the other side are interesting to do the opposite of what you're offering. This is good. There is anonymity. Basically, when you look at the book of an exchange, buy and sell, you don't know who is the buyer, who is the seller. Just the exchange do the QYC and onboard you on the exchange. But as soon as you hit some volume, you hit some big problem. These big problems are mainly security, are mainly confidentiality. And the OTC market exists everywhere in the world, in stocks, in gold, and in every asset that exists because of these two reasons, because of the security and the confidentiality. If you own a large amount of Bitcoin, you don't want to be well known that you have gold in your safe. If you are a buyer, which is, let's say, a corporation which is exposed, you don't want it to be well known that you are buying for billions of dollars of Bitcoin. And there is this issue. And at the moment, so the biggest problem of the OTC market is that, let's say 90% of actors are scammers or people which are misrepresenting themselves. So this is a major issue. They're attracted by the big numbers of transactions that they think happen. I think there is far less than what everyone is dreaming about, but that's the reality. Then you have the rogue element, you have the time spent in a transaction, you have a big problem for the people which are sitting in the middle of the transaction, which we call intermediaries. Those people are attracted necessarily by the commission that they could gather, but most of them, the only thing they are doing is giving a phone number to someone that they think might have coins or might have a buyer and things like this, and they are expecting to get a fair share of the commission. But if the deal happened 5, 6 months, 8 months after the transaction, they will never figure out what happened in the meantime. So there is a huge problem for the intermediaries, but without the intermediaries, deal would never be possible because it's impossible for a buyer to advertise that he's willing to buy 50,000 coins or for a seller to do the same thing. So the idea was to create a solution that's going to fix part of my life and going to make easier the conversation I have on a daily basis with all these, Nigerian prince and all the royal family of Saudi Arabia and all these people which want to buy all these Bitcoins around the world. And the idea is to use this software that was demonstrated by Carl when I met him at the blockchain last year and try to put a process in place which is going to facilitate the negotiation and facilitate the life of everyone. So the idea basically, so here is a classic framework for a OTC transaction. Nothing clever. You have a buyer on one side, a seller on the other side. You have mandate on both sides, some introducers in the middle. Everyone is binded supposedly by a non-disclosure agreement. You sign a commission agreement which is going to take care of the people which are making the deal happen, and the seller and the buyer are linked by a seller purchase agreement, and you go to execution. That sounds very simple, but ultimately when you put thousands of scammers in the middle which misrepresent themselves, mandates which have to protect the security and the confidentiality of their buyers and seller, you start to have an extremely complex process. So what we're doing with the software is basically adding a layer which start here. We are creating a pseudonymization of every single actor in the chain. And we are making sure that these people are certified. So if you want to deal with me, you will have to use the software, you will have to go through registration in the software, you register as Mickey Mouse, and then the software is going to give you a unique number, like when you open a bank account, and it's going to ask you to go to a QIC company. This QIC company is going to check your passport, your proof of address, everything, so that should deter at least half of the scammers. And then when we go to anti-money laundering information, for sure it will deter the other half. So the idea is to make sure that the actors that want to deal are going to be serious. And the second thing is going to anonymize during the whole transaction process the parties which are talking together. So what's happening is you register as Mickey Mouse, you go and see the QIC, they give you a certification. You become certified Mickey Mouse in the platform. Other actors knows that there is somewhere some information which are in a vault, which when the contract can execute, we can call this information on your discretion and figure out who you are. So we put with trust the introducers. The contract, the software is binding basically when you register on your machine with Mickey Mouse. This Mickey Mouse is going to be physically attached to your machine. The software is never, and the contract is never going to be open on any other machine. So I'm not going to talk too much about technicalities, but the idea here is to create the trust in an industry which lacks tremendously any amount of trust, which every single day you have scammers. So while we have a technical solution which is going to create trust between the different actors, the level number one is obviously to make some transaction in Bitcoin. Level number two is to bypass the introducers, because why you have so many introducers today is because the buyers and the seller don't have an actual solution for their transaction. They don't trust the escrow because the problem of confidentiality exists there as well. You have exactly the same problem of circumvention that can happen everywhere, so they don't want to go through this route. So you need to have a solution that can guarantee trust. Now, if you tell them, I can certify that you are a buyer, I can certify you go through a QIC anti-money laundering and you show your proof of fund that you're a buyer for over 50 million. I'm going to certify that you are, by example, a gold actor in the platform. And we are going to create a marketplace where you will have different level of certification, and again, the information will be in a vault. The QIC company has no idea why you are making your QIC, so they are not interested basically in disclosing this information or whatever. Once the QIC is done, it's in a vault. So the only thing that we know about in the platform itself is that you are a gold member, meaning that you have the power to buy at least 5,000 coins, by example. And then you are going to discuss with the people which have the same appetite on the sell side. So we are going to create the trust. The business model is very simple. The software is going to be an intermediary, which is going to replace many intermediaries which are becoming unnecessary in this. The potential of trade, basically this is an estimation, what we can do. But I think I've wrapped it up. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm ready to take your questions.
So, Jerry, your questions, please. Do you have a... Where is the micro? Ah, yeah, Felix. Yeah.
Lost my train of thought there for a second. Okay, so the platform is essentially going to replace the escrow, or is it going to be provided to the escrow as a method to facilitate the trade?
Both. Basically, we are going to run the OTC network as an independent organization, but we can work with lawyers for merging and acquisition. We can work with traders for doing gold trade. We can do everything. Basically, it's a tool that's going to be provided.
Okay.
The OTC network, myself, I'm going to concentrate on Bitcoin. I'm already active, as you very well know. We know each other from that industry. And basically, the idea is, one, to have a tool that I'm going to use myself with my team, and second, to have a business that we are going to offer worldwide with a big need in this industry for building trust. And actually,
Agreed.
I discussed with many lawyers. There is a strong interest with lawyers because, you know, merging and acquisition are a very sensible subject. And when you come with an elegant solution to make the life of the whole process is about preparing the deal, is what happened before.
For
Once you got the contract in place, as you know very well, the execution is straightforward.
For sure.
Everything which is complicated is the before. So for the moment, escrow are not solving the before because lawyers either are not solving the before. If you have two clients, let's try discuss with a divorce lawyer and tell them that if they can fix the situation when they have complicated negotiation, they don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea with the pseudonymization is give I don't like to say anonymity because you are certified. We can call at the end of when we execute, we can decide to call the identity in or the deal can remain anonymous if we find a process where we can deal like this.
I mean, the alias, for example, is a really, really good idea. I think it's great. Just one last question. Will there be any smart contracts here governing the procedure?
Basically, what we plan to do is we are an executor in the middle, meaning that we are going to guide the process from a very impartial point of view.
Okay.
So we are going to give the rights. You bought the software, you are, let's say, an introducer, a mandate, you fill up a questionnaire, then some rights are allocated to what you can do in the process, in the conversation and everything. Then, because of the software, we can guide the redaction of the contract, the SPA. I don't have enough time here to show all the technicalities. But basically,
so it's a custom process per
yes, it's a
per
full.
procedure.
It's a full and the key here, it's fully integrated to the software with your identity. When I'm sending you my mandate, Mickey Mouse is sending to Minnie Mouse. I have a guarantee that who I am sending it to, because remember, when you register, it's attached physically to your machine. So if I know that I've been discussing with one person before, there can't be misrepresentation of this person down the line.
Yes.
So I have a guarantee of the actor which I'm working with.
Thank you.
Who are your competitors?
At the moment, large exchange have active OTC desk, but actually it's quite complicated to find large amount of coins there because the sellers don't trust them. Also, you need to understand, when you have a large amount of assets, you don't necessarily want to accept the process of selling that these exchanges are imposing on you. You might have your own bank, because let's face it, in the world of Bitcoin today, it's still very complicated to get the fiat back. It's complicated anti-money laundering, prove how you got those Bitcoins. It's complicated to get the money back. So this is why this world of OTC exists, is because the regular actors are solving nothing of the problem. And the actual big transactions are happening just on the OTC market. So you have a handful of actors worldwide which are trying to make this happen. And that's what is making it very complicated.
Good. Cool. Do we have one question from the audience? Yeah.
I'm confused by the commas and you mean decimal places?
Sorry, say again?
Do you mean decimal places, or are you saying like 2,500? The first line, charge an onboarding fee.
250 euros per person.
Okay, so you mean a decimal place?
Yes.
Okay, really confusing.
This is EU. Welcome in EU.
I mean, it's like it's not a big deal. I find it more interesting how we're talking about like
and transactions of upwards of 100 million, and everyone's just like, okay, no, I don't really have any questions. Like, this is what drives Bitcoin, guys. This is literally what drives Bitcoin. It's not, like spending, 0.1 BTC on something small. It's Dubai royal families, and it's bigger guys, without mentioning any names. Like, this should be crazy interesting to you. And if you don't find it interesting, what are you doing here? Fuck the commas, you know what I mean? Like.
I just wanted to point out about this solution is that we don't take any custody of anything. So in terms of the regulation, this is competing with exchanges. Maybe Samuel.
Yes, this is peer-to-peer, entirely peer-to-peer and encrypted, meaning that me sitting in the middle organizing a deal, I don't have any information on the document which are exchanged between the buyer and the seller. They will be drafted with the identity of the pseudonym certified. And then if the deal doesn't happen, at the end of the day, no one knows who is the other party. The only way to disclose the identity is if you decide to execute the deal and both parties agree to call the identity inside the contract to execute it. And then the interest as well. Imagine you're a scammer, and but if you want to get your commission at the end down the line, you have to disclose some real identity one moment or another, because you will never get paid. So it's should, well, maybe.
Last one, and then we stop.
We need to wrap up.
People
yes.
are hungry.
Is there an automated execution of the deal then? Like, and secondly, Hyperledger has kind of the same functionality as well with the identification and like separating concerns with
Yes.
channels, etc.
So execution, each buyer and each seller, there is, let's say, about 10 different solutions that exist in terms of execution, but each buyer and each seller has his specifics because of his organization. So it's impossible to enclose, for the time being, everyone into, there is no magic. Maybe it will come because of the trust that we can install with the process, because the key here is always the confidentiality of the parties. The big buyers don't want it to be disclosed that they are buying those days, and the big sellers, for obvious security reason, don't want it to be known that they have this amount of coins. So how do you deal with someone which don't want to be known and exchange literally hundreds of millions with someone which doesn't want to know that he's got those? So. Yes, maybe. My idea was to make something more simple, more accessible, because every single OTC trade starts with an intermediary. The intermediary has no much interest in even discussing complex things. The only thing they want to know is that if they will get a commission down the line. They are ready to give a phone number, or I heard this guy is doing this and this guy is doing that. But it's very complicated for a seller to run into a buyer out of nowhere. You know, it's such a small number of people. So basically, you have all these small intermediaries in the middle, which are just putting people in contact. But because of that, this is why you have the whole scammer world, which is trying to do, sometimes I don't even understand what they try to achieve. So I'm not sure they know themselves. But you have to understand that nowadays, a proof of fund or proof of coin has a value between $7,000 or $10,000 on the black market. If you show me your bank statement with $100 million, I can sell it tomorrow for $10,000 on the black market. So buyers are not going to show you any of this. And if you get a Satoshi from a wallet, it's exactly the same thing. It can be sold because it can be used to scam other people. So because of this value on the black market and because all these people trying to scam, most of the industry is going nowhere, turning in circle, and no deal is happening, and people are wasting, and people don't trust each other. And the amount of deals at the end of the day which are happening are extremely small compared to what people think, first of all, and what is needed. Because at the end of the day, if Bitcoin doesn't become liquid, there is no future for Bitcoin. We need it to transact. We need it to become a way of what it needs to be, an asset or a way of payment. And for the moment, the concentration with 2,000 people owning half of the Bitcoin make it impossible for some of the development that everyone wish for the Bitcoin. So.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Thank you. So Jerry, please. For the last, I'm representing Daniel as well. Just for you to know, all Jerry had all investor deck before the event. So they have had a look. Mariana, take note. Okay. Okay, good. Thank you very much to the Jerry, for sure. And I'd like to call in all startups that participated for a group photo, and we'll announce the winner as well. So please, Dane, Give Nation, Samuel, Wesley, Steven. Let's come in, group photo. Should the Jerry be in the photo too? Yeah, Jerry in the photo too. Jerry in the photo. Where is Wesley? Ah, he's here. Come in, come in. Okay. My babies. Cool. Let's follow the photographer's advice. Everyone is here? Okay. Wait, we meet someone. Wait, Wojtek. Matt? Matt is here. Come, you're part of it. Be fun. Okay, very good. Did you do the math? So we have a winner. Haha. Haha. Tan tan tan. Okay. Guys. So we have a winner. I would like to call Zahi and Asaf and Mariana as well for your help from Future Block, who helped me organize this event. Please, guys, you can speak after. So first of all, I'd like to thank them, obviously, and hopefully you're going to be able to look a bit more into their platform as well. I'd like to thank as well every attendees. I mean, I know it lasted 1.5 hours longer than planned, but I guess it's because it was super interesting as well for you and for all the startups participating. So I hope you guys managed to make some connections. If for whatever reason you didn't manage to speak to anyone here, I know everyone, so you can ask me, and I'll be happy to help you out. So, who wants Asaf to? Me? Okay. So we have a winner. And I have to be proud of something, because the winner is French as well. So the winner is Redpex. So Samuel Rondeau and Carl, maybe Carl, you come in as well, because it's your project too. So guys, you've been winning. Bravo. He's also my friend. So guys, you have been winning 10K euro worth of services of consultancy, technology, and all of this with Asaf and Zahik. So you are able to change your contact details and help you out. Maybe you go and visit them in Tel Aviv. And well, Carl is actually based in South Africa, so you can go and see him there. And Samuel is based between France and Malta and Ukraine, and yeah, he's based in his plane. And well, not his own plane, but he's based in planes. And yeah, and also so access to their platform. So hopefully, whatever other funds you're looking for, I hope you're going to be able to manage through them. And yeah, congratulations, and thank you to everyone who participated. It was really, really nice, and we look forward to the next edition. And again, congrats to all the other ones. You didn't win, but it was very, very, very close. Like Quizando and Give Nations were second ex aequo with 20 points. Then we had Coins, and then we had Dane. So very good to everyone. You guys did a great job, and I hope all of you will get whatever funding you're looking for. Thank you. Have a good day. See you at the summit.
Please, 1 minute, guys.
Wait.